Hey everybody, Michael Tracy here. I want to bring your attention to a Medium post that I just published a few hours ago to the TYT Medium page, so of course it will be linked in the description box of this video. But the Medium post notes that it was recently reported this past week that United States Army Rangers are now stationed in the same Syrian city, Manbij, as Russian troops. So the ostensible mission of these elite Army Rangers in this particular city is to keep the peace, quote unquote, between Kurdish forces who are loyal to different actors. So first of all, my question is, when has this sort of interventionism, meaning getting involved in civil strife that is multi-layered and multifaceted in hotbeds like Syria, when has that ever produced good results for the United States? I think you'd be hard-pressed to find any real examples of that happening, yet here we are again. Trump is essentially continuing the strategy of incrementally escalating U.S. involvement in Syria and Iraq. So Obama initiated the ISIS war in 2014 without any real legal justification. As the years went on, our involvement was escalated. He launched the Mosul assaults in October of 2016. And the Mosul assault continues, and now Trump seems to be preparing for an assault on Raqqa and Syria. So we're getting further and further enmeshed in this conflict in Iraq and Syria with the putative aim of rousting ISIS from its various strongholds, but could that ever be fully accomplished? Probably not. Anyway, the big development, it's not surprising, right, that we are incrementally escalating involvement in these countries militarily, but what is most notable is that U.S. forces and Russian forces are now in such close physical proximity to one another. They are engaged in missions that are sort of ancillary to one another, so they're not doing the exact same thing. Russian troops seem to be overseeing humanitarian convoys coming through the area. And whereas U.S. forces, at least ostensibly, it's hard to know because there's so little on-the-ground reporting. But what the U.S. forces seem to be doing there is, like I mentioned, keeping the peace between these rival factions. But this speaks to why I've been harping so much on this Russia hysteria, or Russia fever, that's gripped the Democratic Party, gripped many activist liberals, and gripped much of the media for now many months. Is that it creates a situation where the incentive is now on Trump to demonstrate that he's not in thrall to Russia. Because the big criticism coming from Democrats and some Republicans is that he's insufficiently belligerent toward Russia, that he's compromised by Russia, that he's secretly carrying out the will of Russia and prioritizing Russian interests over American interests. So you could imagine a situation where in this particular city, there could be some kind of friendly fire incident. There could be some kind of miscommunication or mishap that causes tensions to escalate between U.S. forces and Russian forces there. And if the pressure is on Trump to show that he is, sufficiently antagonistic toward Russia, or that he's not compromised by Putin, he's incentivized to take some kind of rash military action against Russia or against those Russian forces in retaliation, and that could easily escalate into a really cataclysmic conflict. The involvement in Syria is bad enough. That began under Obama. It's being continued under Trump with perhaps some modifications to give the generals freer rein. But it could only get worse given the incentives that are at play with the Russia hysteria that continues to grip the American populace, and which is really creating perverse incentives for Trump. The instinct we would want to encourage in Trump ideally would be to restrain his belligerent tendencies rather than encourage them. And the function of what Democrats are doing is to encourage those tendencies. So it's really, really bizarre, dangerous, perverse. Use your own adjective. Anyway, Nomiki, Jordan, and I were on the main TYT show yesterday for the full 2 hours, and we ended up having a rather lively debate about Russia. Whether these conspiracies and whether the mania have merit, whether it's in the strategic interest of Democrats to harp on this issue, whether it's substantively appropriate. So those videos, I'm told, will be up over the weekend in YouTube video form. So watch that. I know people have been agitating for a long time for there to be some disagreement on that issue expressed on the TYT main show. So that finally occurred yesterday. I see some of you commenting now have seen it, and I got really good reaction to it over Twitter yesterday. So that'll be up and preserved for posterity soon on the TYT main channel. So watch that. Give me any feedback you might have. I am currently on my way to Sacramento area for another town hall tomorrow. I'm going to be gauging what the sentiment is there with regard to Russia, of course, with regard to other issues. So tune in for that. Some of it will be streamed live. Some of it will be done, presented in a video package form later on, as typical. So be on the lookout for those videos on the main channel. And yes, I do read the chat. I'm actually going to try to disable the chat because it's a little distracting when I'm trying to formulate thoughts. So that was just me replying to these little chat bubbles that pop up onto my screen. Anyway, hello, goodbye, and I will see you later.